going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Two Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about our biggest question that surprisingly not too many people are talking about, but it's one that I strongly believe we're going to get an answer to very soon, which is, given all that has gone down, where in the world is our favorite scientist who isn't actually named Orochimaru? Because Amado has mysteriously gone missing from the story and is one of the few holdovers from Boruto Naruto Next Generations who we have yet to see in Boruto Two Blue Vortex. So what exactly gives? Well, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at just that. So I think the first thing here is that, like I said about Sarada not being told about Sasuke being a tree, that we have to wait and let the story cook. I think it's something similar here, but I won't rehash the points I've made in that Sarada instance because I think this one time is actually different. Unlike Sarada, where there was some clear long-term planning actually being put in place, I think the lack of absence by Amado is definitely intentional and was being withheld for the very plot twist that we just got, which is the reveal of the Shinju now having their own personality, the powers of those who they consumed, and most importantly, now that this threat is out in the open, we have our own handy-dandy Otsutsuki clan Wikipedia Amado ready to come in, make his debut with all that science mumbo-jumbo where he mixes in things that we already know with his own speculations while withholding information that he plans to reveal later on whenever it's convenient to him. The stage is set perfectly for Amado to make his debut in Boruto Two Blue Vortex. Right now, just given where the narrative is, we all want and need answers about these Shinju because this is an application of the Ten Tails and God Tree that we haven't seen before in the manga, and it's something that Amado can be used to give us a lore dump on that is needed. I've long since felt, even if we start out fast in the time skip, which we have started out at a pace that's consistent with the end of Boruto Part 1, that at some point we would have a cooldown to reassess the changes that were made during the time skip and digest new information that we were given in the time skip itself, which is where I think we're either at or we're getting very close to actually getting to. A lot of this is obviously going to depend on Ada looking up Boruto's location and what he's been doing, at least during the attack with Konoha, and I think that's going to happen for a few different reasons, and most importantly, I think that Ada doing this directly links us to Amado making his reveal. Ada herself said that she gets bored very easily by things that she sees with her dojutsu, and she tries only to look at things that grab her attention, but just as Kawaki got her attention by killing Ishiki, I think the moment that Ada learned Boruto was there in the village, her eyes started to get glued on that fight with Code, which we know that they did, which means that when she heard Boruto warn Code, whatever it is he did to the Ten Tails, it changed him on a fundamental level, and that it was now beyond his control. That likely, from that moment onward, is what made Ada's eyes glued very closely to that fight, and it's for a really good reason. She would have been watching Boruto go to that dimension to confront Code and then kill the Ten Tails and saw firsthand all those Shinju. Ada, more than anyone else, is vulnerable to those Shinju developing a will of their own and having powers of people like Sasuke. There's a strong likelihood they're immune to her Shinjutsu, because at the end of the day, the Ten Tails itself is a byproduct of the Otsutsuki clan. For someone like Ada, who stated that she had a skill issue in terms of not being good at taijutsu, not being able to charm and control those who she used that power on, that is a problem. It's a security risk for her, especially if it leads to another Otsutsuki being born, which I think the story might be hinting towards, but it's too early to say for certain. That many high-level fighters who can give base Boruto a problem means that even if Damon were helping Boruto, it's likely going to leave her vulnerable in a situation. Because Damon's reflection jutsu, while it can protect her, it's not this super unbeatable jutsu like people keep overthinking and coming up with super complex ways to get around it, because the manga literally tells us the weakness to the jutsu. Keep Damon from touching you with his palms, or keep Damon from touching anyone in the area with his palms, and the auto reflection is off. The same is the case if he's in mid-combat, because the only time after we got that info about his weakness where we see him reflect attacks against Code was when he was literally touching him. When he went on the offense against Code, Code had the opportunity to actually hit him. Code was just too slow. Given that one of those claw grinds looks like Jigen, if it can use the Sukuna Hikona to shrink itself down, then that's another problem for Ada, because her Senrigan is inferior to the Sharingan in that area of visual perception because the Sharingan can track the movements of someone who has been shrinked down. Her Senrigan, however, cannot because she couldn't see Kawaki until he literally resized himself. I say that to say this: it's in Ada's best interest to reveal what happened, and that's going to bring us to Amado being roped into the story to start explaining how all of this is possible. He is a literal narrative device. It's also going to lead to Amado having some skeletons coming out the closet right now because nobody in Konoha knows that Kashin Koji is a clone of Jiraiya. However, Ada is likely going to have seen Boruto with Kashin Koji and is going to reveal that info. She would know that Koji is Jiraiya's clone, which means Koji would be able to sneak into Konoha because, as we've seen before, Koji's chakra slips through the cracks because it's registered as Jiraiya's chakra. So no one raises an eyebrow that a registered chakra in the village has actually entered the village itself, and unless someone in the sensory unit specifically knows Jiraiya's chakra signature, it would just come across as a random Konoha citizen who they've already had registered into the system. They wouldn't raise an eyebrow to it, which is why Kashin Koji could hide in plain sight. That information is gonna come out at some point, either through Amado himself or through Ada, because of where the situation has gone through. Amado knows that Kashin Koji being alive means the guy is gonna have a bone to pick with him for sending him on the suicide mission to take on Jigen and then take on Ishiki, while expecting him to die in the process. Koji hasn't sat back in the shadows for nothing, and the story has dangled the open plot thread out there for a long time that Amado was the owner that the wounded dog Kashin Koji would find its way back to, as Ishiki put it. There's a confrontation coming at some point with Amado and Kashin Koji and Boruto. It's not a matter of if, it's really a matter of when, in my opinion. From Konoha's perspective, most importantly from Shikamaru's perspective as Hokage, Konoha is now facing multiple enemies all at once. Code is off doing his own things from the shadows and can return at any time. Boruto and Koji are viewed as enemies to the village. Boruto for killing Naruto and Hinata and for trying to kill Kawaki, and Kashin Koji for assisting Boruto and Sasuke throughout this time and for being a former car inner. Now you have the Shinju who can bite people, turn them into a tree, and seemingly build up their own army over time. Somewhere Shikamaru is smoking 3 or 4 packs a day at the idea that he has to deal with this and realizing why Tsunade stepped down from the job after only 3.5 years and why Kakashi barely made it just under a decade during a time of peace is a stressful position. This dude is about to have a full head full of gray hair trying to come up with big brain strategies, and all in the center of this we have Amado waiting to step in. The other reason you have to wonder about him coming back into the fold is there's no indication that he isn't immune to Ada's Shinjutsu omnipotence. Now we can speculate, but we have no evidence that he is. We have circumstantial evidence, but that's hypothetical at best. We don't have anything concrete. In his mind, Boruto would be the one he's trying to seek out, but we also know based off of what we've seen with Sasuke that while his memories were still affected, he could still choose to defy logic and go against them when he sees evidence pointing him in the other direction, even though he's second guessing himself the entire time. Even while Ada and Boruto were literally having a whole conversation about what happened right in front of him, he still doubted himself. Sarada tells us in chapter 1 that you had people asking why did Kawaki have the body of a car cyborg when Naruto's son was never a cyborg. There's our answer. Even with the altered memory, Amado would have recognized his own ninja tech because every scientist has their own signature, just as every writer has their own voice for how they write in the story. And most importantly, he would have examined Kawaki's karma. He would have seen Akabe's data digitized inside of it. Someone that shrewd knows that there are times where the only logical choice is to choose the illogical option, which in this case is to go with Kawaki being the one who has my daughter's info. This is who I need to help, even though my memories are telling me otherwise, just as Sasuke made the logical choice to help Boruto because he saw his daughter beg for him to do so, but also he saw the headband that Kawaki should have had according to Sasuke's memories, and he sensed Momoshiki inside of Boruto, despite that should have been something he sensed inside of Kawaki. Amado, even knowing the truth, also knows the importance of keeping up appearances because his mind and everyone else's mind thinks of Boruto as the kid that the car enters raised and who Amado needs, and knowing the truth, his memories were altered, means that he knows that Kawaki was the one who basically said, if this karma transference makes your daughter into an Otsutsuki, I will kill her. I think we're seeing seeds being planted for a trap for Amado, as Ishiki called him, a sly fox. I think we might be seeing smoke used to flush the fox out of hiding for, at the very least, the narrative revelations, but also for a bigger long-term story. Now, some of this does kind of depend on whether or not you think Amado is a villain. I know some of you guys are still in that camp, and this video on the screen here goes further in detail on why Amado might be the biggest villain in Boruto.